And show. Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? This is Jim from the Pain PT, and I'm so happy to have here today. You guys may recognize on the screen already, Nicole Sachs here. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being willing to come on. And I was telling you off air, I really wanted to bring you on to have you talk a bit about your new book because I'm really excited for it. And I think it's really going to be really important. And so I wanted to have you on here to share a bit about it. So yeah, Mind Your Body. We see it there in the backdrop. It's going to be coming out soon. So can you tell me what inspired you to write the book?
Well, as maybe people know, if they have any idea of what I've been doing in this space, for over 20 years, I have been first, as many of us do, came to this work as a patient. I was a patient of Dr. John Sarno's. I met with him in New York, ended up working with him directly, lecturing with him at NYU, and then taking his patients into my private practice when I was located there when he was still at NYU. And so my journey started a really long time ago, but over the years, I have amassed so much knowledge around this and so many people's stories and worked with people all around the world. And so essentially, when I got the opportunity to write this book and really present it on the world stage in a way that kind of exceeds any opportunity I've gotten before, I just really put my all into it. It's 20 years of everything I have learned. And I was so lucky to work with a really great team that had like a newcomer's mind because these are not people, when you work in the world of publishing and my literary agent that kind of were new enough to it that they could look at it and say, okay, as a person who needs a little more understanding, do this, do this, do this. So it was just a really great audience to work with, and I'm just excited. I'm excited because as you probably know, I've had a podcast since 2018. I've interviewed hundreds of people. I've interacted with many thousands of people. But this is my first opportunity to have everything in like my hand in one place where I can take a book and hand it to someone and say, do you want to be inspired? Do you want to know exactly how to do this for yourself? Do you want to have prompts and tools and steps and mindset tools? And it's like, I'm just really excited to get it out there.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Like you said, it's a culmination of your work. You've been doing this for a long time, right? You worked with Dr. Sarno, and his books probably came out of the same thing, out of his own experiences. And so I think that's so powerful. And obviously in this world, you're, superstar, people know you, but to get it to a larger audience of people, right? I imagine having publishers and people helping you say, okay, craft it this way, because you know what you
Yeah.
want to say. But why do you think this book's important? Why do you think it needs to be out there? What do you think who's the audience for this book?
Well, as you well know, I mean, I'm speaking to somebody in the space. We have so much more power than we realize to affect our physical and emotional health. And people that I interact with constantly feel incredibly hopeless. They feel out of options. They feel like they've given away their power to doctors and surgeries and medications and treatments and alternative treatments and supplements and you name it, diet changes, and they might have slight improvements or they might have temporary improvements, but they find themselves back at the same place. And every time they find themselves back at the same place, the despair is deeper and deeper. And I totally get that. And so I'm just, that's kind of what inspired me to do this in the first place. I was like, listen, if I can have a voice, like you just said, I have a little bit of a name in a very small pond, but if I can do my small part to change the face of the Western medical model, to give people an understanding that they have options, to inspire people, one of my favorite things about the book is the last few pages of every chapter is someone else's personal story. So it is a person that I've either worked with, heard from, or just reached out to me from around the world. I made sure to include as many people as possible from different reaches of the globe, different age groups, genders, circumstances, so people can really find themselves. And I also took great lengths to keep the stories in each person's words because I want the stories to come off the page and not only inspire you, but bring you to that place where you know you're not alone because a lot of these stories are very dark. And these people had to live through a lot of hopelessness before they woke up to this. And so they tell it all. And yeah, so I mean, I want to wake people up to the fact that they have possibilities. And that's my favorite thing to see.
Yeah, yeah, very relatable, right? Sounds like very personal. And I like the name Mind Your Body. How did you come up with that name? Was that something that came to you quickly, or was it something that you labored over for a while?
You know, it's funny. I have a group chat with several really close, really smart friends. And so when it came time to name the book, I just opened up the group chat and I'm like, all right, go. And everybody was writing, like some were funny, some were serious. And actually, um, my friend wrote fight because, obviously we talk a lot about fight or flight in this work and how the human body is not meant to stay in a long-term sustained fight or flight. So she wrote fight or write, which I thought was really cute
Yeah.
because I'm obviously always talking about journal speak and like expressive writing. But it was a little too pithy. So we eliminated fight or write. But we were just joking, and a friend of mine was like, mind your own body. And I was like, wait a second, mind your body. Like
Mm.
it's kind of funny because it sounds like mind your business, but it's also really true about like minding, taking care, and then it's also the like turn of phrase with the brain science. So we kind of landed on that.
Yeah, I really like it's a catchy name, and I think it also makes a lot of sense, and that's the work that we're doing here. Maybe share with the audience, people listening, like what can they expect to find in the book? Like what's like you said, you kind of give a little teaser, the incentive to wake people up to get. So what went into the book? Like what's some of the meat and potatoes, if you want to share a little bit of that with the audience?
Sure. So essentially, which I teach all the time, there are three facets of the work as seen through the lens of the way I teach it. And they're very broad categories, but I like people to think of them as three legs of a stool. And without all three legs, the stool cannot stand. Believe, do the work, and patience and kindness for yourself. So, under the umbrella of believe is like the brain science, the stories of other people who have healed, the mindset tools, the sort of awakening that there is more to your health than maybe you understood through the Western medical model, which essentially teaches us that when you have a part of your body that is hurting, we look to that part and then we go to a specialist. So you have stomach issues, you go to a gastroenterologist, and that person is going to look at your gut and is going to do tests on your gut and is going to tell you about what you're putting into it. And what we do in mind body medicine, as you know, is we look at the whole person. We look at the brain science behind, sure, your pain is 100% real. You're not being sensitive. You're not being hysterical. You're not making it up. It's not your fault. You are experiencing pain the same way you would if you severed a limb. But what is the genesis of this pain? Why are these pain signals being fired? What's going on? And so believe everything under the umbrella of believe is like Dr. Sarno used to say, my prescription is knowledge. It's the knowledge. It's me explaining to you, and I hope and I believe, and I've been told very relatable, very easy to understand language exactly what's happening in your body paired with all the scientific studies, all the latest information coming out of the best universities and best collaborations. And not only do I note the studies and talk about them, they are all linked in the back of the book. So it is important because everyone has a different way that they metabolize things. So the first third of the book is dedicated to all of that. And then, like best practices in terms of preparing yourself to do this emotional work and allow for your nervous system to regulate. So, that's the first section. The second section is all about journal speak, all about expressive writing, all about why it is a fantastic vehicle to get to where you need to go in terms of the work that does end up regulating the nervous system, taking a ladle to your emotional reservoir, bringing it down so you're not always being triggered into fight or flight, explaining why journal speak is very different than traditional journaling, all of my tips and tricks, journal prompts, tools, like exactly how to do this for yourself. And then the third section of the book, under the umbrella of patience and kindness, is really explaining to people something I did not know at all, what it means to have a self-compassion practice and why it's not light, why it is a need to have, not a nice to have. Because I often say, if you're trying to bail out a sinking boat, without a self-compassion practice, it's like bailing out a boat with a hole in the bottom because you are just annihilating yourself on a daily basis so unconsciously. It's amazing. Before you realize and after you realize, like the way that we talk to ourselves, the way we berate ourselves, it's just really, really counterproductive in doing this work. So I also give a whole chapter on the inner child work, something I also used to think was light and an add-on, and now I understand the profundity of what happens to a person when they start doing that work. So, and then at the end is just like a real cheerleading session from me about like, I have seen this, like, let me explain to you why this is going to work for you. And like I said, and 14 stories that are really, really powerful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I imagine it must have been, was it hard to put those chapters together? Or was it, consolidate all your knowledge and understanding, or was it pretty easy to put that together? I know you've talked about those three stools before, and that's kind of sort of how you wrote the book. But how was it writing the book? Was it hard to do? Was it, how long did you take on it? What was the process like?
I often say I wrote this book in 25 years and 4 months,
Yeah,
meaning it really, it came right out of me. It flowed
that's
right out of
fast.
me.
4 months.
Yeah, but well, I mean, like I said, 25 years and 4 months.
Yeah.
I've written this book my whole life. I've written this book a million times. I've written this book through hours and hours of sitting with people in private practice for 18 years. I wrote this book from my heart. Like sometimes I think of experience when you're really in something, when you really know something. I think about it like the cloud, right? So nobody really understands what the cloud is. I don't know if you do. I certainly don't. But I know the cloud is up there and I know it has all of my stuff in it. And I know that if I don't have something on my computer, I can click on the cloud and I can download it onto my computer. And I think of my knowledge and my life's work about this as like a cloud that kind of like lingers above me. I'm not always thinking about every aspect of it, but it's there. And as soon as I just kind of got quiet and had my primary purpose in mind, which is I am going to help you, every you out there. I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to sit with you. I'm going to hold your hand because this is so hard at first. I just like opened the cloud and it came down. I really find
Just
this work to be.
downloaded it basically. It was already there.
I downloaded the book,
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
and it's not that I don't want to, minimize the hard work that went into it, but really it was a pleasure. It was a celebration, the whole thing, because I'm so proud of it and I'm so excited for the response I've already gotten from many people. We have like an inner circle, many of whom have read it, and it just like I was on the phone with Christina Sarno yesterday, Dr. Sarno's daughter, who is Lisa and I, my partner and I, we are bringing this message to the world. And Christina's one of our partners in that because we wrote recently a practitioner training with Christina called the Sarno Sachs Solution that we are, once this book is launched, really going to start publicizing because we haven't really talked about it much, that we're really looking to teach practitioners all over the globe how to do this and how to bring this to their practices. And so I was on the phone with Christina yesterday, and I'd recently sent her an advance copy of the book because if any of your listeners are in the New York area, Christina and I will be in conversation on February 5th at the 92nd Street Y, which is very exciting. If anyone is a New Yorker, you're nodding your head because the Y is like such a center of cultural conversation. My friends who don't know about the Y are like, "Oh, how cute! You're speaking at the YMCA," and I'm like, you don't get it,
There'll be
but it's
10 senior
okay.
citizens there, right? No one's going to be there. But no, this is a different kind of why. Yeah.
It's a major deal. It's like saying I'm going to go perform on Broadway. Like it's a
Mm.
huge deal. So if anybody is listening to this, I will give Jim the link to join. Hopefully it won't be sold out by then. The link to join us at the 92nd Street Wine conversation with Christina. But anyway, Christina was reading the book and she just called me yesterday and she was like, Nicole, this is excellent. And I was like, thank you. And she's like, no, 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 no. I need you to listen to me. She's like, this is freaking excellent. And like that's what I need to remember. Like it's going. I'm going to release it into the world and I want people to get it. You know how I feel.
Mhm. I know how you feel, and I think I'm hoping other people feel the same way. And I think, like you said, this is like a bigger audience. Like, obviously, we work with the people, and people find us, and they find you. But like, you're hoping to bring this to a bigger audience. So maybe talk about that. Like, what are the goals? Like, what would you like to see happen? Because this is still, I mean, Dr. Sarno started a lot of this, but and it's been growing, but still, it's fairly small, right, in the scheme of the whole medicine world and chronic
Yeah.
pain and so what's your vision for this? What would you love to see out of this?
Well, I have an experience that happens to me not rarely. So it's unfortunate that it can be this extreme, but I'll get an email from someone in Sweden. I mean, I'm picking a country, but it could be anywhere around the world. And they will say something along the lines of, I've been suffering from X diagnosis for X number of years. I tried this, this, and this. Nothing was helping me enough. And I decided I couldn't go on. And I made a decision that if I wasn't substantially better by Christmas, I was going to take my life. I made this decision. I could not bear the thought of carrying on indefinitely. And I get the chills every time I say something like this because it's so wild. And they're writing me and they're like, and a couple months ago at 3 o'clock in the morning in the deepest despair, I found your YouTube channel or I found your podcast or I found an interview that you gave, something just like this. And I'm writing to tell you I'm back to work full time or I'm getting married or I'm having a baby. Like it's the wildest experience, but the last line of these emails always tends to be something along the lines of, thank you, and I can't believe I went so many years without realizing this work was an option for me. And that's where there is like a knife in my chest. And so that's this book. This book is, Penguin Random House is a powerful partner. It will be translated into many languages around the world. And that is the hope and the prayer is it reaches people. Not everyone is going, as you well know, not everyone is going to pick up what I'm putting down. I will be criticized. I will be misunderstood. I do my very best in the book to kind of get ahead of any of the misunderstandings, like the pain is in your head, or I'm minimizing chronic pain. Like I lead with my own story so people know I was being carried to the bathroom. Like I am not saying that this is not real pain. But still, I will be misunderstood. That's fine. I have come to peace with that. But if I can get this into as many hands as possible and people are sharing it and it's a grassroots effort and it's coming as a bottom-up change, then that will be my goal.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and it's like, Dr. Sarno's passing you the torch and saying, let's light this a little bit brighter. His books has been out for a while. We need a refresh, right? We need and to spread this wider. And I think again, when it comes, as to emotional work, it's just very hard for people to at first go there, believe it, right? Understand it. I mean, I, as a physical therapist, I didn't know about it. But now when you see it, when your eyes are open, it's like, what was I missing all these years? Well, I really missed this stuff. Maybe talk a little bit about that with the emotions, because how much that's really people just, it's like a lost area. It's not something we connect to the body. People don't talk about emotions. So maybe talk about your journey with emotions, because Dr. Sarno, right, kind of put it on the map. And what's your take on emotions and how they relate to these conditions?
Well, when I first talk to people, oftentimes I start by explaining to them that what I'm telling them they already believe. So an example of that would be if I if I could be standing in front of a room of 1,000 people and I could say, "Okay, guys, raise your hand if you've ever had a stressful day and gotten a headache." And every hand in the room will go up. I don't know one person in the world who's never had a stress headache. And I say, okay, okay, keep your hand up if you ran to the ER that night for a CT scan of your brain. So everyone laughs and they put their hand down. And I said, you see, what I'm teaching you, you already believe. You believe that an emotional stimulus, stress, could cause a physical reaction, a headache. You believe when you hear someone's in a panic and they break out into hives. You believe that emotional stimuli cause physical reactions. I give them a bunch of examples and I say, so this is the same as saying there's an emotional component to chronic pain because as soon as anything becomes chronic, all of our understanding of the mind body connection goes out the window because chronic pain is actually not an epidemic of pain. It's an epidemic of fear and meaning. It's an epidemic of the panic and the tailspin we go into when we think, wait, if this is chronic, it's going to affect my family life, my work life, my personal life, my romantic life. And we get so lost in the fear and in the meaning that we attach that itself fuels the nervous system dysregulation into that long-term fight or flight, which of course leads to more sending of signals of inflammation, muscle constriction, spasm, neuropathy, etc. And so we get so confused, and then of course we get stuck in that smaller, lower vibration mindset of I'm broken, something's wrong with me, no one can fix me, and I'm alone. And so it perpetuates itself. So I help people understand, first of all, let's take the stigma out of saying emotions. When we say emotions, we're not saying your pain isn't real or you're making it up. We're saying, in the same way, when a comedian is about to go on stage and they run into the bathroom and throw up, and nobody thinks they just caught the stomach virus, they think they're really scared, an emotion, and it causes a physical reaction. They are sick. The same exact thing is happening in chronic pain, but it's just a bigger fear. So let's slow down and be together. That's what this book is. Let's sit together in the warmth of the human connection and let's look at it.
Mhm.
Let's look at it. Let's look at, why are you so scared? Why are you so ashamed? Why are you so enraged? Well, it's okay. Like, it's
Mhm.
okay to be this thing that we are told societally we're not allowed to be.
Yeah.
So that's the message about emotions.
Yeah, that's great. And it's interesting when you were saying, I'm thinking we accept certain emotions that cause certain types of physical symptoms, but only certain ones, right? Not other ones, right? So we're so limited, but you're exactly right. So the book's coming out. I like how you broke down, you added the self-compassion and that self-care piece. I think, like you said, is so important. So when is the book coming out? When is it going to be hitting the streets so people can start to order it and get it?
Very soon. Very soon. So I think that probably this conversation will air very close to the time that it comes out, February 4th, 2025 in the States and in the UK. And I think just a little lag for Australia, New Zealand, other English speaking countries. But we've already signed the contract for Spanish translation and a couple of Eastern European translations. So, and it's all happening. So the one thing I will say to anyone who's listening is that when you click on the button to order the book, whether it be Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, your local bookseller, we have all of them linked to my website, NicoleSachs.com, where you can see the book and click on it. If you put in your order by February 7th, because it comes out on the 4th and we're giving a few days of leeway, after, you will be eligible for the free pre-order bonuses. The reason pre-orders matter, which is something I recently learned being in publishing now officially, that when the publishers in the world see that enough people are excited about a book before they can even get their hands on it. But although I'm extending it till February 6th, if you order it any time before then, it will ship out on February 4th. That's when we get power. That's when we get power over speeding up translations, over global reach. Like this dream that we're talking about right now becomes very real if we can get a lot of interest at the front end. So I really, it is a great service being part of the movement to click and order it prior to that date, just so we can broadcast to the world this healing is real. There's hope that is exponential, that is astonishing when you watch how people can transform. And all these people out there, like these emails I'm getting who are so hopeless, we have more of a chance of reaching them, the more people who can, kind of order right away. So it comes out on the 4th. The moment you hear this, you can pre-order, and every pre-order matters.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody get a copy. Not only will you help yourself, but you're going to help other people that are suffering so that like hit the ground running, get this book going. And Also, I wanted to touch on a little bit about your other work because the book's going to hit the ground, get out there, and I'm so excited for it. If people are looking for more support, right, more help with your work, would you mind sharing a little bit about the other options people have with working with you?
Yes. So I have been for years and years always racking my brain for the best way to support people because I'm only one person. And I closed my private practice in 2018 because I had to put all of my energy toward kind of figuring out which mediums were best to reach the whole world. And so the best thing people can do is just go to NicoleSachs.com. We have courses. So if you like self-contained courses where you don't have to show up on anyone else's time schedule, chronic pain recovery, for chronic anxiety recovery, and all sorts of retreat recordings on different specific topics, migraines, people pleasing, boundaries, perfectionism, what have you. All of that is under the Heal Yourself tab. So people can go there and check it out. We have a membership community where people come together and I'm there personally. I meet with them twice live a month. And then every day we have a dedicated online community where I'm answering people's questions. That's under the membership tab. The podcast, The Cure for Chronic Pain, totally free. Listen to stories. There are hundreds and hundreds of episodes. There's a podcast tab on and then there's a podcast reviews tab so you can see the impact it's having on people all over the world. It's just the best way. Go to NicoleSachs.com and check it out, and see. And if you're a practitioner and if you are someone who is interested in carrying this message, we are, the Sarno Sachs solution is live. You can go to the Heal Yourself tab on my site, or you can go to sarnosachs.com, and that has 18.75 CEs because a lot of us need those CEs for our licensure. And I'm hearing it's really fabulous and robust and teaches you as a practitioner how to bring this to your practice and be certified.
I'm excited for that. I'm going to check that out myself as well as the
Amazing.
so I'm encouraging people to get out there and get the book. I mean, I think it's going to be a big hit and it's well needed, right? It's so important. And I'm so happy you're here, Nicole, to come on and share it. And I really appreciate all the work you're doing out there. And I'm happy you're bringing a book out there because I feel like somebody's got to do it, right? So
Yes.
let's get the word out there. And any last words for people before we go?
Just be inspired. Be inspired. I'm 52 years old. When I was 19, I was told I would never have biological children or travel or exercise because my spinal abnormality was so severe on film, and I have never had a surgery. I have never had an injection. I have the exact same MRI. I had three babies. I exercised till the day they were born. I can run 5 miles on the beach on a good day. And I am not in pain. And I just want you to be inspired that this can be true for you too.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye bye.